Yes, get ready for the legal dictation. 3, 2, 1, start. Thereafter, a similar request was made to the Speaker by Sri Dharam Singh, another member of the Vidhan Sabha elected as a candidate of the HJC to recognize the merger of the HJC with the INC and to also recognize him along with the other four legislators as members of the INC in the Haryana Vidhan Sabha. Subsequently, another application was filed by Sri Dharam Singh before the Speaker on 10th November 2009 requesting him to be organized as a part of the INC in this Haryana Vidhan Sabha. The Speaker, by a separate order, allowed the said application upon holding that the same was in consonance with paragraph 4 of the 10th schedule of the Constitution. Challenging the aforesaid orders, the respondent number 1, Sri Kuldeep Bisnoy, filed 5 separate petitions before the Speaker under Article 191, read with the 10th schedule to the Constitution of India and the Haryana Legislative Assembly Rules 1986 on the ground that they had voluntarily given up the membership of their original political party and had joined the INC in violation of the provisions of paragraph 4 of the 10th schedule. On receipt of the said petitions, the Speaker on 22nd December 2009 forwarded copies thereof to the concerned MLAs, asking them to submit their comments within a period of 3 weeks. On 7th April 2010, applications were received by the Speaker from the concerned MLAs praying for time to file their written statement. The matter was accordingly adjourned and further time was granted to the concerned MLAs to file their explanation. The respondent number 1, however, filed a writ petition in the Punjab and Haryana High Court seeking quashing of the orders passed by the Speaker on 9th and 10th November 2009 and also for a declaration that the 5 MLAs in question were disqualified from the membership of the Haryana Vidhan Sabha and in the alternative for a direction on the Speaker to dispose of the disqualification petitions within a period of 3 months. Notice of motion was issued to the respondents on directing them to enter appearance and to file their written statements within 3 days before the next date of hearing fixed on 1st September 2010 either in person or through a advocate. On receipt of notice from the High Court, the Speaker by his order dated 30th August 2010 adjourned the hearing of the disqualification petitions sine die. On 20th December 2010, the learned single judge of the High Court allowed the writ petition and directed the Speaker to finally decide the disqualification petitions pending before him within a period of 4 months from the date of receipt of the certified copy of the order, which direction has given rise to the question as to whether the High Court in its jurisdiction under Articles 226 and 227 of the Constitution was competent to issue such a direction to the Speaker, who was himself a constitutional authority. In terms of the order passed by the learned single judge, the date of hearing of the 5 disqualification petitions was fixed for 20th January 2011 by the Speaker. On the said date, Dharam Singh, one of the appellants before us, filed his reply before the Speaker along with an application for striking out the scandalous, frivolous, and vexatious statements made in the disqualification petition. The matters had to be adjourned on the said date till 4th February 2011 to enable the writ petitioner to file his reply to the said application and for further consideration. On the very next day, Letters Patent Appeal number 366 of 2011 was filed by the Speaker challenging the order passed by the learned single judge of the High Court. On 1st March 2011, the said LPA was listed before the division bench, which stayed the operation of the judgment of the learned single judge. A submission was also made by the learned Solicitor General of India, appearing on behalf of the Speaker, that every attempt would be made to dispose of the disqualification petitions as expeditiously as possible. Thereafter, the disqualification petitions were taken up for hearing by the Speaker, and the case was adjourned for further arguments. Stop. Get ready for the general matters. 3, 2, 1, start. Mr. Speaker, Sir Wahil, considering the various aspects of the welfare ministry, it is essential to find out the ways and means to implement all those welfare programs that could lead us towards the establishment of a welfare society. For the past many years, representatives of people, especially those belonging to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, have been repeatedly demanding the setting up of a separate ministry under a minister to look after welfare matters. The previous government had set up the welfare ministry in September 1985 and thus fulfilled a long standing demand. Earlier, this department was attached either to the Home Ministry or to the Education Ministry in the name of Department of Social Welfare. Hence, it was not possible to pay due attention to it. Therefore, the then Prime Minister Sri Rajiv Gandhi pondered over this matter seriously and took a historic decision on it, and thus the Ministry of Welfare was created, and this ministry started working independently. Several departments attached to the Home Ministry, including departments of Harijan welfare and other departments looking after the welfare of minorities, disabled people, and other weaker sections of the society, were detached from the Home Ministry and put under the Ministry of Welfare. Apart from this, steps were also taken for the fulfillment of several commitments made by the government, as also of those tasks which the government was supposed to do under the directive principles incorporated in Constitution and which were left unattached to even after 48 years of independence. Although our Constitution calls upon the government to take steps so as to make the weaker sections and the disabled self reliant so that they do not become a burden on the society, it is regrettable that we have not been able to formulate any national policy in this regard. A national policy for children was announced, but appropriate steps were not taken in the right direction for the implementation of that policy. The work was taken up, but much remains to be done in this direction because our country has not been able to progress as much as it should have. For this purpose, it is necessary to have adequate resources. Today, the situation is that due to non availability of resources, we are not able to allocate as much money as we would have liked for our programs. The previous government had constituted a committee, and the committee was entrusted with the job of suggesting a national policy for the handicapped, keeping in mind the factors such as the facilities that could be provided to them, ways and means to provide them with equipment and assistance, and also ways and means to provide them with education and training in the cities, so that instead of being a burden on the society and depending on their parents, they can make themselves useful and make a place in the society. The committee was to give its recommendations on this issue. I would like the present government to take steps to implement the recommendations made by this committee, and also keep in mind those recommendations while formulating the bill relating to the handicapped, because so far we have not been able to formulate the requisite national policy for the handicapped. Many experts have expressed their views after much discussion and deliberations. The government should take steps to implement those recommendations. I believe that this House will unanimously agree that there should definitely be a national policy regarding the handicapped, so that they need not depend on others. There are many countries made for the welfare of the handicapped, and they are provided with many additional facilities. We too can formulate a national policy for the handicapped on the lines of those formulated by other governments. Mr. Chairman, sir, as I said in the beginning, the rate of infant mortality in our country is very high due to many reasons, including poverty, malnutrition, and undernourishment. Similarly, many children are deprived of proper education as they fall victims of bad habits. We have observed that in many families the parents are illiterate or they are so busy in their work that they are not able to pay proper attention to their children. Stop over.